Today we're going to talk around price is what you pay, value is what you get, and really understand what is your value, what is your offer, because ultimately that will impact how your members feel around price increases. So 2 sets of research to share with you today. The first one is around our price rise sensitivity, which we conducted back in the summer. And that was to really understand, like I say, how sensitive are your members within the independent gyms and also for the public sector to see what was going on there. The Consumer Insight Panel is a panel in which we have access to 62,000 respondents within the UK, and we're then able to target specific groups and understand user and non-user behaviours. So via our consumer panel, we were able to understand how sensitive were members to a 0, 5, 10, 15 and 20% membership increase. It is worth noting that this data is fully independent. We don't know the chains, we don't know the gyms that people go to, so it's fully independent. And then as a result from our price rise sensitivity research, we conducted more research specifically around independent gyms to understand what are the influencing factors in terms of choosing an independent gym. What factors matter in terms of retention, and do people feel that they're getting value from money for their independent operator? So in terms of our price rise research, what we found out actually is that there's not too much to worry about, in the sense that up to 80% of members of independent gyms were not so sensitive to a price rise of 0 to 10%. Now, the key to this is communication, and it goes back to what Paul was saying earlier in terms of creating that community and that sense of belonging, that actually if we communicate effectively with our members, let them know why we're increasing our membership fees, bring them along on that journey, then actually we're not going to hit a lot of backlash as a result. So that was really interesting to see. We were able to break down the demographics further, and what we understand are actually that young males are the least sensitive to a price rise in terms of an independent gym setting. So this is a key group for us. We could take it down further. We could do a split by gender and age. And as you can see here, in terms of sensitivity, the older our members are, the less likely they are wanting that price rise. Now, of course, nobody really wants a price rise in the first place, but we know that that has to happen. But what we can see here is that for males and females, there's a pretty even split between those who are accepting of a 5 and a 10% price rise. Now, of course, there is a tipping point in terms of affordability. You know, if people are paying £35 for a membership and their circumstances change, then it might not be feasible for them to continue. But what we really need to understand is, what is the value? What is my offer as an independent gym? So we took some further research through our Consumer Insight Panel targeting independent gym users. We wanted to understand what influenced their choice. Why did they choose the gym that they chose? What mattered in terms of retention, and do they feel that they're getting value for money? What we could see here from our sample of 200 is that 57% said that they felt that they got more value for money going to an independent operator versus a larger chain. And I think this is a really interesting point. You know, we've heard many conversations today around interactions, engagement, the digital journey to support the in-club experience. So it's really, really telling that actually over half feel that they get more value from their independent operator. So of course we wanted to drill down a little further. We wanted to understand what were the influencing factors for when they joined their gym. Now, there'll be no surprise that cost and location are up there, and they usually are. It's very, very typical that location has to be convenient. But what we could see is that atmosphere really matters, and value for money. So again, this phrase comes up, value for money. What is that? How does that translate? Because arguably, that could be pretty subjective if we're not very clear on what our offer is. From our data, we could then drill down further and understand the social platforms that these members are using to help really understand how they want to understand an atmosphere, how important is support from staff, and the activities that are available. So as you can see here, over 40% are using Facebook, and atmosphere is really important to these members. So it's important that your social platform is being used to demonstrate the atmosphere within your clubs, because this is a clear area that your members, your prospective members, will go to. Equally, people want to see that there's support from staff. Now, interestingly, at LeisureNet, we undertake a lot of research. And what we see is that members will say, oh, staff are friendly. Very, very friendly. They're lovely. But very rarely do we see that they're supportive and encouraging and motivating. And this is really, really important. So again, we need to start thinking about how we can use our socials to demonstrate the message of our offering within our clubs. Again, in terms of value for money, for those members that said that was really important to them, key platforms for them to use are Facebook and also Instagram. So again, we need to bring in the socials to support those sides of your club. Retention influence. So here, again, we've got location as very important. However, that's not enough to keep our members. We need to look a bit deeper here. So again, atmosphere matters to our members in terms of retention, value for money, and support from staff. So if we go back to Paul's presentation just now, which is obviously a bit of a hard one to follow, isn't it? But he's very, very clear that support from our staff in the early stages of membership is vital. What we saw from our data, it was pretty consistent in terms of age ranges, but for those aged 45 and over, support from staff started to be really, really important. So again, not everyone will need an induction, not everyone needs support, but it needs to be available. And here we can see actually what values were members talking about, what really matters to your members. So quality, friendly staff, personal touch. That was really, really interesting to see that coming through, that members felt it was a really personal experience. Atmosphere, again, has been mentioned. So how can we maximize these values? How can we maximize what matters to our members of independent gyms? Now, you might know this stat, and it's not a nice one, but I think it's one worth sharing today, that actually over 60% of closures are independent gyms since 2019. And that's a really, really harsh hitting fact. So perhaps now we need to start thinking differently. And again, going on from what Paul was just saying around creating a sense of community and a sense of belonging, it's great to see that, you know, on the websites, everyone claims that there will be a community. But what does that actually mean? What does that look like? And are we measuring that? So, bit of a mantra for us at LeisureNet, you can't manage what you don't measure. So experience is everything, and we need to be able to measure that. So you've all got a pen and paper handy. It is after lunch, and I'm going to ask you to get mobile. No grapevines, don't worry, there's going to be nothing like that. But we're going to do a little experiment. Is that all right with you guys? So, yeah? Okay, so pens at the ready. Now, no conferring on this, please. I'm going to read out a list of words. Don't write it down yet. Let me just have a good look. So just listen to me as I read out this list of words, please. So, we have goggles, atlas, banana, protein, yellow, towel, glasses, dumbbell, yogurt, funny, walk, paddle. Okay, so without conferring, may I ask you now to jot down as many as you can remember, please. I'll give you a minute or so. This is where I should have brought the clock down, countdown clock, isn't it? Okay, are we ready? A couple more, I can see jotting some bits down. I feel like a bit of a bingo caller. So, don't know how that's happened. Anyway, right, here we go. So what I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to read out the list again. If you have the word, please stand up. If you don't have the word, either remain seated or sit back down, okay? Okay. Goggles. Good stuff. Atlas. Banana. Protein. Yellow. Towel. Glasses. Dumbbell. yogurt, funny, walk, paddle. Fantastic, thank you. You can sit back down now if you like. So what we've just walked through there is an experiment around the serial position effects and how we recall and perceive memories. So when we're having an experience, it's really important that we're very clear on our offer and are delivering that consistently. So quite often what can happen when we go into a club is we will get the hello, potentially. You can go and have a great workout, not necessarily have any effective interaction with anyone. You leave, and all you typically remember is the start and maybe the end, and not a lot in between. So what we need to start thinking about is each touch point. Again, Paul just spoke about, having one effective interaction, how that increases visit frequency, and what that does to your bottom line. So my question is talk cheap? Well, we know through extensive research that the more somebody feels they are being spoken to, the more they feel like they are progressing towards their goals, the more value they see in you, and the longer they stay. And that simply comes from having an effective conversation. But of course, we need to measure this. We need to ensure that it's happening consistently. For those of you who have more than one club, that's always a challenge. But consistency is a challenge within one site alone at the same time. So I'm going to take you on a little tour right now. This is a true experience, and I won't name any names. But I'd like you to think about, whilst we're here today, could this be happening in your club? And if it could happen in your club, how would you feel about this? So, coming through, your receptionist is distracted. Now, I'll just say this. I started off my career front of house, and I know it can be a very, very challenging environment at times. But in this example here, the receptionist is distracted, not ready to welcome me in at all. I'm then ignored by the cleaner. Now, it's quite interesting when I've done this before with other operators and I've delivered customer experience training. Quite often people will say to me, but Jules, the cleaner doesn't need to say hi to anyone. Does anybody know the JF Kennedy story in NASA? Yeah? Please, do you want to share it with us? So Kennedy, you're like, why did I say yes to Jules? Well, I'll try. So Kennedy goes up to the janitor and says, what's your role here? Go on, you know the story. Well, the cleaner says that. The cleaner says, I'm here to put the first man on the moon. So again, regardless of your position, regardless of your role in your club, people know what the objective was. So the janitor in this example knew that his role was to be a part of a team to put the first man on the moon. So in this example here, ignored by the cleaner, going to the gym, instructor says hi, but it's party season, so we're going to talk about going out and having a few drinks, no time for me. PT's texting, so definitely no time for me at all. And now, on my way to the pool, I see a manager, but I'm completely ignored. And then I go and have a lovely swim, but the lifeguard walks straight past me, doesn't engage, doesn't acknowledge me at all. Again, I feel like all I do is keep referencing Paul. We didn't team up on our presentations, I promise you this. But again, in terms of creating a feeling, do you feel like you're going to be getting value for money if that was happening in your club right now? On the way out, I get a goodbye, but it's because the manager's there, and it's that kind of insincere, did you find everything you're looking for today? I've got to say that, but I don't really mean it. Now, if you were a member paying £35 a month, would you continue with your membership? If your prices were increased, would you accept it? Or would you go to your budget operator? Now, we know through the pandemic that we can work out in our front rooms, we don't need to go to a gym, but people choose a club because they want an experience. How would you feel if this is something that your members experienced? I'm pretty sure nobody would want that. Now, if you know me, you'll know I'm pretty sunny side up, so I'm going to have to flip it on its head. So coming through, this time I have a warm, friendly greeting from reception. Again, they might be busy, but that's fine. They've made eye contact with me, they're welcoming me, they're making me feel like I'm part of something. Coming through, I have a hi from a cleaner. That's all it needs to be. Could be a smile, could be an acknowledgement. And this time, though, the instructor comes up and says, Jules, great to see you today. Let me show you something new. Fantastic. What great value for money. Just 2 minutes showing me something new. PT's fully engaged, looking for that next visit. On my way to the pool this time, though, the manager greets and asks if I'm enjoying my session. Now, it doesn't have to be a manager. I would hope that any team member would feel empowered enough to say, hey, how's your session today? How's your visit? This time, lifeguard, have a great swim. And on my way out, the manager checks, when will I be back again? And again, we know this is one of the most effective conversations we can have when we plant the seed for that return visit. What are your thoughts on that experience? Certainly better than the first one, I would say. Is it achievable? Are you thinking, are there any gaps right now in terms of service delivery for your operations and how we can flip it to become a more positive one? Now, with all of this, I just mentioned that, we need to be able to measure experience. So where are the feedback points? Where are the touch points to ensure that we're delivering on this consistently? Because through that, we've gained vital data, vital intelligence to allow us to pivot, to be agile in approach, and ensure we keep developing and continuing to improve our overall experience. I heard this once, and I think it's really true that, people won't always remember what you say or what you did, but they do remember how you made them feel. So if we are creating a sense of a community, a sense of belonging, then that's really important that we're clear on these touch points and that we deliver them consistently. At LeisureNet, we provide a service through NPS, the Net Promoter Score. And it's not just specific to LeisureNet. You can get this from anywhere. But this is really, really important in terms of understanding how your members feel about your brand. And are we creating those raving fans? Are we creating those members who are right now at Tesco's or wherever they may be saying, I've just had a great workout? Are these the members out there talking about your team by their name because they love being a part of what you do? So NPS is a great metric for that. Quick show of hands. Who has NPS in their operations? Fantastic. Have you all heard of the Net Promoter Score? Yeah, fantastic. Okay. So that you'll know it is one single question that if we listen to can ultimately transform our business. And what we're looking to do is increase the length of stay of our memberships, but create a loyal member base. Is satisfaction enough? Do you just want satisfied members? I could go and have a workout. I could go on a treadmill. I could pick up some weights, and I'd be satisfied because it's ticked the box. It's done the job. But actually, what I would want to create in my club is a real sense of loyalty, a place where people want to be and are raving about me to their friends. So in terms of how we measure this, 0 to 6 are our detractors. We know through extensive research that if we don't proactively intervene with these members, they see less value in our product and our service, and they are more likely to leave us. So it's really important that we understand our detractors. We have our passives, our fence sitters, our 7 and 8s. And again, a really interesting category of member because we can learn a lot from them. So we could go up to our passives and say, look, if there's one thing we could do differently that would improve your experience, what would it be? And they've got the answer. So we know that. So we can speak to them. We can reach out proactively. And then we have our promoters. Now, our promoters, the ones that score you 9 and 10, these are your raving fans. These are the ones out there selling you guys. They'll also defend you if you ever need it as well. So again, really important that we really, really create a loyal following through our member base. Because I'd really hate to see another statistic showing next year that more closures for independents has happened. That just doesn't seem okay, does it? So we really need to understand what is the experience, what is the expectation, are we delivering on it, yes or no? If not, why not? Because we'll get far more support for potential price rises if we start to deliver something that looks like this. So in terms of insight, it is vital right now. We need data to drive decisions. We talk a lot around that gut feel. We've got a feeling that this is the way we need to go. This is what we need to do. But actually, in an ever-changing landscape that we're in right now, we really need to understand what are our members feeling and what are they thinking so we can proactively intervene and ensure that they become our raving fans. So, couple of takeaways, then we'll open up to questions and start to talk about your customer experience because we've got quite a lot of time to do that today. So gut feel is good, insight is better. Insight is absolutely vital. Whether you gather that from MPS, whether you have certain feedback platforms, tiles on your apps, whatever it might be, I encourage you today to look at your feedback strategy. So many times I hear people say, yeah, well, we know that what the problems are. We know that there's an issue with this. We know about that. But we need this data to really drive change. So I urge you to look at your feedback strategy because it's vital business intelligence. Communication, as always, is key. If we're looking at increasing our prices, again, as we saw at the start of the presentation, our members aren't too worried about that, but ensure that they are part of that journey with you. Let them know if we don't increase our prices, what will happen. And they're far more likely to accept any potential price rise that we have to do. I shared with you some socials today, so in terms of when members are looking for atmosphere, when they want to see value for money, when they want to see that there is support from your staff, ensure your socials represent this as well. I can share a copy of the presentation so you can see that in the thorough report, but your socials will really, really help you with your acquisition and also in terms of retaining and creating that community feel with your members. And lastly, and this will always be my big takeaway, make sure you are measuring what you manage, because if you're not, you're unable to pivot and change and develop and improve your overall customer experience. So we have a number of papers that we can share with you today, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But before we do, and I know I'm well ahead of time, so let's use this as an opportunity to ask some questions and talk a bit more. I haven't even got Rachel here, have I? I don't even know if she comes in for this. So is anybody finding they're having any issues currently with their members? Are you looking to put up your prices at the minute? Has anyone had any backlash? Are our members happy? Yes. Oh, wow. And is that something you're going to look at doing, or? Yeah. And what's been the hold, if you don't mind me asking, for 7 years? I mean, obviously a little thing called COVID. Yeah. And in terms of getting feedback from your members, are you quite proactive in, sort of gauging their experience and understanding where they currently are to help with these decisions? Yep, fantastic. Yeah, no, well, you're very welcome. And when are you going to do that? Okay. Good luck. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. We did. Just do it. See a little Nike advert there. But again, I think that's really interesting. Again, our conversation was around being very clear on your offer. So a very niche product, very niche service. The expectation is there, the delivery is consistent. Therefore, members will support you with that. Absolutely. Yes. Yep. Sure. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that's a really valid point around that perception, again, of, oh, gosh, this is going to take me into that whole new threshold of membership. And it's very easy for me to say this, price is what you pay, value is what you get, which is, again, why communication right now is absolutely key to say if we don't put our prices up, this will be the impact that happens. David, I'm going to come to you, actually, if you don't mind, because I know you shared this example with me where you did a similar thing for your members, that certain prices were going to have to go up, and you were very clear in your communication around why and what would happen if not. And did you have any fallout from that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in terms of that communication, what did that look like, David? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Making them feel involved. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, oh, yes, yes. Uh, the question was, how much did you increase your membership by? Was that? Yep. I'll come over with the mic. I'll get mine. Sorry, what was that?
Same, we put our prices up as well around springtime. Yeah. We put new equipment.
Okay. So price increase went up at the same time that new equipment went into, showing that added value that we're still investing in your experience, and as a result, we are going to have to start putting things up. And backlash, disgruntled? No. It, yeah. Yeah. And that is it, isn't it? You know, it sounds like a bit of a broken record here, but communication is just absolutely vital, isn't it? Yes, please.
So there is a matrix that you can look at based on your turnover and profitability.
Yeah.
How many customers you can lose and still make the same profit.
Yeah. So for those of you who may not have heard that, there is a matrix that is available in terms of how much you could put your membership up by, how many you would lose, and you would still make profit. So again, I think the thing here is don't be afraid, basically. You know, work out the numbers, make sure you're clear on what you're doing, make sure you're clear on that offer, and involve your members at the same time.
If you were here for Paul's session, it might be worth thinking as well, without stating the obvious, check the number of sleeping members you've got as well. Because we were definitely affected less because we had a low number of sleeping members already. Clearly, if half of your members are sleeping and aren't attending your club and you're going to put prices up, that will weigh on some of those members. Some of those members will cancel. So it's worth doing that hand in hand with this process.
And again, that's an interesting point on sleeping members, because let's face it, COVID woke everybody up. So we shouldn't really be going back to that model where we have got sleepers. And it was funny when Paul said earlier about, you know, which model would you like, the 3-month membership model or the 12-month membership model? And nobody put their hands up for the first one. Yet typically what we tend to see is exactly this. You know, January's, you know, fast approaching, too fast in my mind. But already people will be saying, well, don't worry, they'll be gone by March. And I just think that's absolutely ludicrous. What an expensive business model to get people in only to let them go again. So yeah, absolutely, we need to make sure we don't have our sleepers.
Talking of sleeping, I think I've dropped the ball a little bit, and I'm now here with a mic. If someone wants, if someone's got a question, don't tell Rob; he'll never notice.
No, that was me. I raced through, and then I was like, "Let's talk." Interaction, right?
I'll do that.
There we go. You want your MEPs?
In your opinion, what's the best way to administer the MPS to get the scores? Is it online or in person or the buttons or a combination?
I would go for, well, I would certainly say combination, but I would have a very clear strategy. So I'd be sending it out, again, like Paul said, have it going out on a daily basis, measure it monthly, so you've got to check on that MPS. In terms of doing it in person, there's a bit of bias. You know, if you're stood there with someone and saying, score me today, the chances are they're going to give you a higher score because nobody wants to be rude. And that's the point around MPS, that it's emotive. So when it lands in your inbox, or if you want to go via your app and complete it there, it's emotive. It's probing both dimensions of loyalty. So on the one hand, your member will be thinking, am I able to get on the kit I want to get on? Can I get into my classes? And thinking about all of those kind of rationale, you know, value for money aspects. But where MPS really packs its punch is it's a motive. It's saying to your member, we care about you. You're part of this. Great to see you. Take care. We want you to tell us about your experience so we can learn, continue, and improve it. So I would recommend that you have it via email or on your app, both. In person, not so much. But let's still have the conversation with our members. How was your session today? If there's one thing we could do differently for you today, what would it be? And then have a mechanism in place where you can record that data. So again, you can track trends and continue to improve. Absolutely. Great question. I love MPS. I could talk about it all day, really. But they won't let me. So. I think so. Any other questions or thoughts? So we do have... Oh, I've broken it already. How have I done that? Technology, don't work with it, she says.
You tell me, you just talk them through.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a number of reports available for you guys. All of them can be downloaded on the website. My contact details will come up in a moment, but I will be around today if you want to talk on a one-to-one. So we have the price-wise sensitivity research. We have the research we conducted specifically for independent gyms. And I mean, we can tell you all sorts of stuff. We can tell you even where people drink their coffee. It's ridiculous the kind of data we have access to at the minute. And we also have our latest Moving Community Survey, which whilst that isn't for independents as such, it's really interesting to see the factors that matter to members of public facilities and how their NPS has started to change over time. And of course, if there's any research or anything that you'd like us to support you with, feel free to reach out because we are here to help you. So let us know what's going on. Stay in touch, connect with us, and yeah, we'll always do what we can to help you. So thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Great stuff. Thank you, Julie.